Hi Internet Land, my name is Natalie, and today I'm going to be doing a video on dermatillomania. This is something that's been affecting me in my life for the past 12 years or so, and I want to kind of come out with this. Most of my family and friends and people throughout my life that I've been close with don't know that this is something that I have, and so I want to kind of send a message to them that this is what I've been going through and this is kind of how it goes. And then I also want to just have kind of this open dialogue about education of this sort of thing. Just on the internet, there isn't as much research material or different sources to go to than I think a lot of people who suffer from this would like. So maybe if we can kind of start coming out and talking about this sort of thing, it'll make it better for all of us. This is something that carries a lot of guilt and shame, and so people tend to not talk about it. I just want to talk about it. I'm tired of keeping it a secret. I'm tired of being silent. So I'm going to tell you about my story and about what I know about the task. So I'll be kind of referencing this from time to time to try to keep it kind of short. So I guess first and foremost, I'm going to try to talk about just what is dermatillomania. It can also be called compulsive skin picking disorder, skin picking disorder. There's a couple other just like names that it goes by, but dermatillomania is kind of like the accepted medical term. It is the urge to pick one's skin, often to the extent that damage is caused. So that's a very like general and maybe not so comprehensive definition of this. I'm going to be trying to go into definitely more specifics, kind of just from a sufferer, about what it is and what it does to you. Lots of the scientific community basically thinks that this is a coping mechanism that is developed by people who maybe don't have that kind of like wired into their brain, that coping mechanism. So when people are going through lots of stress, anxiety, trauma, things like that, and they don't have a good coping mechanism, sometimes they develop an OCD disorder, which is what this is. We experience high stress, and then we obsess about picking, and then we compulse with the act of picking. So I also want to differentiate that this is not the same as self-harm. This is not cutting, scarring, things like that. This is a different disorder. There's plenty of information and stuff about videos like that. I just want to make sure that you guys know that this is not the same thing. Even though I am self-inflicting wounds, it's just kind of like a nasty byproduct of the disorder itself. I don't pick to feel pain, whereas someone who cuts to feel the pain and then see the blood and all that. I actually really, really hate that aspect of picking, probably more than anything else, because it's like a physical manifestation of my mind disorder. I just think about picking and I scan and I pick, and then unfortunately I feel pain and I have a scar or I have a wound or a scab. So I just want to, make that clear. And then I think the last like differentiation thing that I want to say is that this disorder is not just a bad habit. I think that a lot of people in my life throughout the years have kind of thought that this is just a phase or just a bad habit, or just when you're a teenager and you have bad skin and you have zits and stuff, you pop your zits, and that's pretty common. I don't know if I know anyone that didn't do that when they were in high school or going through puberty or whatever, but this is a real medical thing. it's categorized a different way because you literally don't have the ability to make yourself stop, and it's something that you're doing several hours a day. It's a legitimate OCD disorder. So if you're wondering if you maybe are on the borderline and you think maybe you're heading towards like actually having dermatillomania, you should, kind of assess where you are and maybe go to a psychologist or a counselor or something. There's definitely a big difference. So I wanted to say that. So I wanted to talk a little bit just kind of how it affects me day to day, and like my history with it. So I'll start from the beginning. I got my first panic attack when I was probably 14 or 15. It's a thing that happens. The symptoms can be, but are not limited to, there are lots of symptoms, so I may miss a few here, but like hyperventilation, tightness in your chest, the seizing up of your muscles, and specifically for me, and this is a little bit more, like less of a physical thing for me and more of just a mental thing for me. I have thoughts of unreality, what's technically called derealization. So it feels like everything you're experiencing, like, just your normal day, is not real. It feels dreamlike, it feels foreign, it feels alien. I also have experienced quite a bit of what's called depersonalization. That is basically, you feel like you are not you. When you look in the mirror, you don't recognize kind of what you're looking at. You have just kind of like a disconnect from your kind of like inner personality and your memories and things like that. You're just kind of like, it's a hard thing to explain to people who haven't experienced this thing. It's scary as hell. It's absolutely terrifying. It's kind of like what I maybe imagine an Alzheimer's patient to go through, because there are moments where you don't feel like you're you anymore. So that's a very scary thing for a 14 or 15-year-old to experience, and that was what was going on with me. It was actually so scary the first couple of times, or the first time that it happened, that I was convinced that I had died, and that I was experiencing some kind of out of body, kind of in between space between life and death. I know that sounds probably crazy to a lot of people, but it was such a scary and foreign feeling that I couldn't make sense of it other than that. So I had a lot of one-offs, panic attacks when I was maybe 15, and I just try to forget about them. You just think, wow, that was really weird, and then you just try to go about your life because you just hope that it doesn't happen again. But then, of course, they started to get more frequent, and then I started having anxiety, kind of coupled with that, because I was worried about having panic attacks because they're very scary. So I'm kind of a generally anxious person anyway. I have been for as long as I can remember, I guess. So I'm just a little bit predisposed to being high strung and high stress and anxious. So when I started having panic attacks, of course, that was just sent me into a pretty big spiral of being anxious all the time. So when I was about 17 or so, I started going to a counselor for the panic attacks, because not that I was suicidal at any point, but it became almost unbearable. I was trying to finish school and trying to go to college my senior year of high school, and you know, that's hard to deal with, all of those things happening at once. It's a really, like, kind of tumultuous, angsty time in your life anyway, so me going through this was really terrifying. So I decided to get help because I just couldn't, you know, go about my day with all this stuff happening. So my counselor was just a psychologist. She wasn't a psychiatrist, which is probably a good thing because she didn't just right off the bat write me a prescription for antidepressants, although she did recommend a low dose of that to not so much treat depression, because at that point I wasn't really depressed. I was just more like confused and scared and having panic attacks all the time. So she told me, you know, if I wanted to, I could go to a doctor and get a low dose, and you know, I did, along with just like therapy, just talking to her about what I was going through. And to be honest, that was the best thing that I probably could have done, just to like openly and honestly tell everyone your thoughts, like your honest thoughts about what's happening to you, because you know, when you're young, and even nowadays, unfortunately, there's a big stigma around mental health and mental health issues. So, you know, I was terrified that they were literally going to lock me up, like in an insane asylum. You know, maybe those thoughts were unfounded, and I don't think that I ever would have ended up there, but, you know, when you have these things happening to you, you don't know what the hell they are. You maybe think you're dipping into schizophrenia or, you know, just general psychosis. So I was scared. So the best thing for me was just to talk to someone and know that I was safe, in a safe space, and that she was going to give me really good advice about what I was going through. So that helped me a great deal, and I recommend that for anyone who's going through anything, any kind of mental disorder, any kind of trauma. I do understand that it's expensive, and I was lucky that, you know, I was on my parents' insurance and that I could go. And like right now, not having health insurance, it's like really not an option. But if you do find a way to do it, I think that it would help you, and I urge you to do that. And also, the antidepressants for me, I was on Zoloft, and it did help, honestly. I was pretty weary of it, and I had some like kind of trial and error with dosing and stuff like that, but it did quell my panic attacks without making me a zombie, because I know a lot of people say that they feel kind of dull and zombie-like on that stuff, and you just kind of have to figure out what's best for you. So throughout my life, my anxiety and my panic attacks and my depression tend to get worse around, you know, great deal of stress or big shifts in my life. So when I was graduating high school and going into college, of course, that's a scary time for a young kid. So it got pretty bad. And then I got put on antidepressants. And then, you know, I was in the thick of school there for 4 or 5 years. So I stopped having panic attacks. I started being pretty, you know, just regulatory, even though I was still picking some. I can control it mostly. And so I'd say my junior year of college, I got off of antidepressants because I felt like, you know, just feeling pretty good, pretty happy, not really having panic attacks. And then, unfortunately, you know, at the end of college, you kind of think, okay, I'm getting ready to graduate and go out into the real world and get a real job, and that's very stressful. So I had another onslaught of panic attacks, which was very unwelcome, you know, because once you think that you're kind of over it, and then all of a sudden you're having massive panic attacks again, it's really scary and unpleasant. So then again, from I think like 2010 to like 2012, I was on Zoloft again, a very low dose, to try to, you know, get better. My picking was really bad at this point. Again, you know, it kind of goes in waves your whole life, and even stress and anxiety disorders and stuff like that. So you know, it's always ups and downs, and every day's different, and you have good days and bad months and bad, you know, good months and stuff like that. So you kind of just have to be patient with yourself. But in 2012, I was in a pretty good place, and, you know, I had stopped picking so much. My anxiety went down. I wasn't having any depression. I wasn't having any panic attacks. So I went off of Zoloft, and I have not been on any kind of anxiety medication or depression medication since then. And I feel like, you know, for the most part, although I have had kind of short bouts of depression, I haven't had any panic attacks. My depression's gotten better, and my anxiety overall has gotten much better, I think. Although, you know, I've made a big life shift recently from South Carolina, where my partner was getting his master's. We were there for a year and a half, so that was a big life shift. So of course I had stress, and my picking got worse there. And then moved out to the Pacific Northwest recently, and I've had a really, really difficult time finding a good job, struggling with money for sure. It's very expensive out here. So my picking has gone through the roof. Like, it's really bad. It's probably to the point where it was maybe when I was 17 or 18, 10 years ago, like whenever this first started. So yeah, I definitely don't want to go on antidepressants anymore or anything like that. I'm just kind of done with that, and I'm not discouraging anybody from doing that. I think that it certainly helps lots of people, and it helped me and stuff, but I just want to find a more permanent cognitive way to stop doing this. I just want to put it to rest. I want to stop for good, and I don't want to have to depend on medicine for that solution. So it's like I pick different intervals every day. It's never the same. So sometimes I'm picking, you know, for just 2 or 3 minutes, like actually in the mirror looking, picking my face. And some days I am picking more at my body. I definitely spend the most amount of time every single day scanning. So scanning is a thing that pickers do where we kind of like rub our skin or just kind of like go over it with our fingertips. And I think that most people, like, because I'll do this in public, and sometimes I don't realize that I'm doing it. It's just an automatic response for now. I think people just kind of think you're kind of absent-mindedly kind of just, you know, rubbing your skin. But I'm making a mental log about all the things I'm feeling, and I'm thinking I want to go pick that later. Like, I know where I felt, and see, like right now, even though I'm like simulating scanning, I'm really scanning, and like I felt something, and I wanted to dig with my fingernails at it. So that's very exhausting, and I do that all day. I do it more whenever I'm alone, whenever I'm in bed, before I go to sleep, if I'm bored, like if I'm reading a book and I have a free hand, or if I'm watching TV, and I'll scan in front of anyone. I'll try to keep it at a minimum, and sometimes I can stop if I know that I'm not in an appropriate situation to do that. But I mean, I'll scan in front of friends, I'll scan, you know, pretty much in public. And then of course, I'm causing real damage because I'm using my fingernails, which are very sharp, and I grow them out. Most of the time now, even though in the past I was spending a ton of time just like in the mirror, you know, looking at every single little pore and like picking, I mean, for hours. I don't do that too much anymore, and like I realized that on this camera, I'm just using my MacBook, my skin doesn't like look that bad, but I do have quite a bit of makeup on. I can't imagine doing this type of video without makeup on. It's like very hard for me to want to show my bare skin to people, because I think that it looks terrible. I have a ton of red, wounds where I picked, and whenever I don't have foundation on, I have a ton of dark discoloration, pretty much in the areas where I pick a lot. So up in here, my cheeks and stuff. Anywhere that I picked, my skin is kind of discolored and it's darker than my actual skin tone. So I have a lot of like permanent damage there from that. Normally what I'm doing at home, I'm just digging with my fingernails, and I'm not even looking at the spot. Like I can feel it, and then I'm just digging at it, or I'm squeezing and I'm not looking at it. Because this doesn't require a mirror, and I don't feel so guilty about picking if I'm literally not in front of the mirror picking. If I can kind of sit and kind of absent-mindedly do it, I'm kind of tricking myself, into thinking that, I'm not really picking. So there's a ton of time spent doing that. I wanted to go over where I pick on my body. So I'll pretty much pick anything. My upper arms, which, in the camera don't look too bad or anything, but I do have a lot of, spots where I've picked. My upper back is really, really bad right now. It's covered in scabs and wounds and, zits and stuff, because that is the thing that I pick the most. And I can't see it, so it's kind of like it's not right in my face, and I don't have to look at it all the time, so I feel like that is why I tend to pick my back, because I don't have to like face the reality all the time, because like, you look in the mirror quite a bit, but you have to kind of turn around and kind of do all that to see my back, so I definitely do my back the worst. I pick the back of my thighs, my upper thighs, a lot. It's a very accessible place for my hands to be. I also pick like my butt cheeks. Definitely it's shameful, but I definitely do it. I of course pick my face, and something that's gotten really bad in the past maybe year, I pick my scalp a lot. I know that you can't see anything, of course, because my hair is very thick, but I am like going in and like picking little spots on my head all the time, and I think that has been kind of a favorite spot for me because you can't see it. It's the only place on my whole entire body that I can pick as much as I want, and I can't see the effects of it, and like people can't see the effects of it. So it's been a thing that's developed in the past couple of years. I didn't pick my scalp originally, but I do that now, and I just wanted to like point out that prolonged picking is really bad for your skin. It's going to scar it. Like I said, I have a dark discoloration on my face where I've picked for so many years and picked the same spots over and over. Some people use tools like tweezers or like sharp points of scissors and stuff, and I'm lucky that my dermatillomania isn't that severe, because you can really give yourself some serious skin infections like that. You can be hospitalized, and you can just create really nasty scars all over your body if you're using tools and stuff like that. So yeah, like, and a little bit more just kind of about the cycle. So I'll go through great amount of stress or anxiety or a panic attack or whatever, and then I'll obsess and think about picking in order to kind of like give myself some mental release from that sort of stress. It calms me down. It puts me into almost like a trance state, like where I'm just letting thoughts just wash over me. I'm not really stressed or anxious when I'm picking, because it's just kind of like an automatic, repetitive thing that I can do with my hands, and it's just energy, just negative energy just being released from my body. So stress, obsessive thoughts about picking, the actual act of picking, which is very fulfilling and a release for me. And then I'll have great crushing amounts of guilt, because, like, once again, I've let myself do this, and I tell myself every single day that today's going to be the day that I quit picking. And today I'm not going to let myself do it, or I'm not going to let myself do it as much as I did yesterday. And then when you break down and you do it anyway, because I literally have, a mental disorder, it just causes a huge amount of guilt. And, it takes a toll on your self-worth, because you think, wow, I have no self-control. I have no will. I have no willpower to think a thing and then manifest that thing. So, and especially me, having been through this for 12 years, and being almost 30, being in my late 20s, it is kind of soul crushing and draining every day that I think, damn, I still can't overcome this huge, monstrous, gigantic problem in my life. I apologize, but this is like a very emotional thing. And this is something that, after you go through it so long, it just like wears your soul down, and it bleeds and into every aspect of your life, because, when you think, my skin looks like shit, I keep doing this to myself, I don't know how to stop it, I've tried everything, and it's just this cycle over and over and over and over every day of just like, feeling down about yourself, being stressed, picking, not being able to stop, guilt, tons of money spent on skincare, makeup, just doing constant damage control because you've done all this damage to yourself internally and externally on your skin. I deal with a great deal of guilt, shame, alienation, embarrassment, public judgment. I've had rumors spread about me that, I'm on drugs and I'm a meth addict, and like that's why my skin looks like this. And like I'll go through stress, like at work. I remember the last job I had, I'll go through stress and I'll go into the bathroom, which is like a private stall bathroom, and like pick for like 10 minutes and like have to go to a meeting, and then like have all of these like welts and red spots and like spots that are bleeding, and I'll have to go, and I'm at work, like I'm at a professional setting, and I don't have makeup on me, and like I know that people are just like, what the fuck is going on with this person, like why does her skin look like that? And sometimes I just cannot talk myself out of it. Well, every day I can't talk myself out of it. I can't make myself not do it. So, like, that being said, I want to stop for good. I want to like find a treatment that works, even though I've tried everything. And I'll go over some of that, what I've tried, and how those things have affected me. But I want to point out that like this affects so many people in my life. Not only do I have to deal with this, people that are close to me have to like, you know, I guarantee you that every person that's close to me knows that something is happening. You know, they've seen me where my skin looks really bad, or they've seen me without makeup, or they've seen me come out of their bathroom and I've had picked, or they see me scanning for hours when I'm at their house, you know, or whatever, they're at my house, or we're out. But I carry a great deal of shame and guilt because of this, so I don't talk to people about this. It's hard. It's really, really hard to do this video, but it's probably even harder for me to just like sit down and be like, hey friend, did you know that I have this thing and that I've been dealing with it for a really, really long time, and that, you know, I want to mend things with you because I alienate myself from you. You know, this kind of thing makes me not want to, you know, leave the house or whatever, or it definitely makes me more depressed just kind of thinking that I'm still dealing with this and all that. So I've definitely alienated myself and been more withdrawn since I've been going through this stuff, and that's hard to cope with because it puts some of my relationships with people that I love dearly in jeopardy. And I know that I've let friendships fall by the wayside, or I just haven't been as communicative to friends that I love because of this, and that kills me too. And then it all just feeds back into itself, you know, more stress, more anxiety, more depression about this, and then more I want to let people know that this is going on, and I want to apologize to the people that this has affected, whether directly or indirectly. My mom is just about the only person, and my counselor when I was like 17 are just about the only people that know the extent of this, know like the truth about what I've been going through. And kind of just recently, my partner, I know that he sees me do this to myself every single day. I don't know if he knows the extent of it, but, you know, he sees me, you know, early in the morning, no makeup, in bed, so he knows that there's something going on. And, you know, now that my picking's gotten really bad and we've been together for a really long time, I pick in front of him. You know, I'll sit there and dig at my back in front of him when we're watching TV or something, and I'm not proud of it, but so this is something that I just want to finally come out with and just talk to people about. I want to talk about treatments, like stuff that I've tried, and maybe stuff that's available to people who want to do this, want to try to get better. So one thing that I have here, and I know that like other people on YouTube have talked about this, it's a Tangle toy. So this has, I think this was originally invented for people who maybe have like ADHD or kind of overactive disorders where they need to kind of be moving and keep their hands going and stuff. This doesn't really help me too much because I'm not very good at keeping it with me all the time and trying to, you know, doing this in public as like someone in their late 20s and stuff might seem a little weird to people. There might be some stigma about this, so, you know, definitely if you're suffering from picking, try this, and this is a good thing to have at home. Let's see, other things that I've tried. I've tried wearing like latex gloves on my hands at home, but you know, you have to buy a box and be diligent with yourself about like putting them on, and they're kind of annoying and your hands get sweaty and stuff, so it hasn't been the best for me. Definitely antidepressants at a low dose have been good for me in the past, and they could possibly work for you if you feel like this is something you want to try. I think the best thing for me ever was just going to counseling and talking to someone about it and being accountable to someone for it. So, and in that same vein, I hope that this kind of video and confession sort of thing will make me accountable to not only the people that I love that are going to watch this, but, you know, kind of just this general collective community of other pickers and things like that. So hopefully that will help as well. And then, of course, I've tried endless amounts of skincare and makeup. Spent a lot of time and effort and money on finding the best makeup, full coverage makeup and concealers and things that will fast track heal my skin. Therapies that I've been trying. I've been doing some acupuncture, and I was honest with the acupuncturist, and I told them that I was coming for a skin picking disorder. So basically the only thing that they can kind of do is treat you for general anxiety, and I feel like even though that's a little bit unaffordable as well, it's been helping me quite a bit with my anxiety, and therefore kind of lowering my picking. I've also been, because I've been working at a flotation therapy business, I've been doing sensory deprivation floating. That has just been good for me because it's definitely a serious stress reducer. It can also be kind of a fast track to some meditation stuff. It's good for anxiety, it's good for things like that, so that's something that I've been trying to do. It is very expensive, but I am lucky that I work there, so I get to do it for free. But if you have that kind of income, I would also highly recommend that. Honestly, nothing that I've tried has gotten rid of everything. Even though I can stop physically picking myself sometimes, and sometimes when my stress is low, my picking is also low, but I've never, since I started having this disorder when I was like 15, I have not been able to put it to bed. I want to get rid of it desperately, and as a community, an internet community, if anybody that's watching this has like success stories or suggestions or anything like that, I would love to hear them. Please keep in mind that I've tried a lot of stuff, but if you have something new or just a regimen that helped you, I'll try to figure out how to put like some information down at the bottom of this video to, like, you know, contact me. I love to talk to people about this. If you're someone that I know personally, like friends and family, and you just want to talk to me about this, I would love that too. This is really difficult for me to come out with all this information, so just be gentle. But I've made the decision that I don't want to be silent about this, because I've been silent about this for over a decade, and I can't do this alone. I cannot overcome this by myself, because I've been trying to overcome this every single day of my life for the past 12 years, and I can't. So I just wanted to say thank you sincerely for listening and taking the time to watch this video, yeah, that's it. Bye, internet land.